Yo, it's Marco here. So basically, today, what I want to share is the seven Hermetic Principles, and I'm going to share why they're important and why they are so significant. The reason being why I'm touching on this is because I'm bringing this ancient wisdom into modern application, hence why we have this presentation, right? Hence why it's looking all fancy. Anyways, let's just get straight into it. So, I've titled this Understanding the Fundamental Principles. I spelled that wrong. So, understanding the fundamental principles which exist and playing the game of life. All right. So, I've put this in this kind of format over here so that we can see how each principle is kind of leading to the next and that we have a complete overview of each one. But before we get into each principle, I've written down a few points here which I would like to cover over on these notes over here. So, once we understand these principles, we can play the game of life and transcend any feelings, thoughts, emotions that play into the illusion that we have no control. So we're not transcending feelings, thoughts, and emotions completely and destroying them per se, but we are transcending any of those that play into the illusion, that play into the fact, like things that are not true. All right. They are feelings, thoughts, and emotions that are not true. So, might have a feeling of despair or feeling of misery, etc., etc. When in reality, the truth is that you are an infinite being with infinite potential, and you are having this experience, physical experience, as a soul. You are a soul having a physical experience. So, therefore, we can see that we're going to transcend any of the thoughts, feelings, and emotions that don't add to us and it actually that we've added onto ourselves, which is not true, right? So each principle will reveal itself once you remember who and what you truly are. Inherently and innately, you know what you truly are. You know that you came to have this physical experience because your true form, your true shape, your true being is is you as a soul. That is you, right? You are soul, you are spirit. So you've obviously manifested into this physical density to have this experience, and we've forgotten. That's all we've done. We've just forgotten all of these things. So as you go through each principle, it kind of brings you back to who you truly are, and then you start understanding, you know, the game of life, and you understand the fundamental reality in which we are, uh, in which we actually live, and not the one that we are given. All right. So the key is transcendence of what controls us here. Now, the control is an illusion. There is actually nothing that is controlling you. There's nothing that is controlling you. You are have complete freedom. So we are powerful beings with limitless potential, and these principles help on enjoy the experience. All right, this experience is here for us to enjoy. We are here to enjoy. We are here to experience the joy, the peace, the express authenticity, and these kinds of things. This is what we are here for, and we are here to basically continue shining the light of which we are. All right, because we are this vibrant being of limitless potential. Okay, so understanding these principles is going to help you see why we are here, why we exist, and also then how to enjoy the whole thing without despising it and hating your experience, because that's not our natural state. So with the first principle which we are looking at the principle of mentalism. And this is kind of the fundamental entry point for these principles. Reason being is because we need to understand the reality in which we are living right now, the reality which we are experiencing, this experience, all right? So, everything in the universe is a manifestation of the universal mind, and all is mental in nature. So, just as you project your own world from your own mind, so are we projections of the greater mind. So, as you are a soul, you're actually projecting yourself into this experience. You are existing everything that's here is actually existing within you as a soul. It's kind of like a a projector projecting something, and then the projection doesn't know that it's coming from the projector. So you are everything that is here is basically a mental projection. Now it's not to say that everything is within your brain. Everything's in the mind, the universal mind. It's kind of the universal one that is creating this entire experience. But also at the same time, you are also an individual, and you also have your own experiences, and you are also actually part of the thing. It's like the concept that you are a drop in the ocean. You're not just a drop in the ocean, you're a drop containing the entire ocean. As it says in the Kabbalion, the all is mind and the universe is mental. We'll get deeper into this as we go along. In my next video, I'm going to go through each principle and cover each one and give a further breakdown with each one. This is just an overview. So, with principle two, we have the principle of correspondence. So, there's a harmony and correspondence between the physical, mental, and spiritual planes expressed as above, so below, as below, so above, as within, so without. We understand that each plane exists and things are manifesting in a particular order on particular realms, okay, and planes. Everything starts from, of course, the spiritual realms, and it descends in frequency to then become a physical thing. This is why your soul is of the highest frequency, because it's a spirit. You are spirit. You are spiritual in nature. So you're high frequency. So naturally, you high frequency. Hence why we have those high frequency feelings, etc., etc. There is a balance between these things. So we see that one thing plays into the other. All right. As you are, as your soul, your natural self, your true self, your being, you are that. As you are that, you're basically, you can express that in this physical incarnation, or this physical realm, this physical manifestation, whatever you want to call it. You can actually express those qualities right here, right now. That's the whole point. That's why we need to come back into realization about this, that there's this correspondence, that as within the soul, so without in the world of the which the soul is experiencing. So as your inner state dictates your external environment. Whatever happens in your external environment is a reflection of your inner state. There's a correspondence there. So moving on to principle three, we have the principle of vibration. Now this has of course been proven. It's been studied. There's more studies released on it when it comes to, modern science and them examining that which already exists. But we know that everything vibrates, because everything that exists in this realm is vibrating. Everything is vibrating. So at a particular rates and ranges and waves of motion. So everything in the universe is in constant motion, vibrating at different frequencies. As it says in Kabbalion, nothing rests, everything moves, everything vibrates. We understand this because the very things that exist are vibrating. They've been given a force, and for things to actually so-called exist, they need that prime resonance frequency. They need the prime frequency to come in there and make the cells vibrate, make the molecules vibrate, so that it is a thing. Okay, everything is doing this. This is why we can change our vibratory state. We have complete control over this, but we'll get into that in further videos. With principle four, we have the principle of polarity. So everything has its pair of opposites, which are identical in nature but differ in degree. That's the only difference. All right. We have as temperature, right? You get hot and cold, but it's still known as temperature. And the only thing that makes it either hot or cold is the difference in degree. So literally, degrees Fahrenheit, degrees Celsius, it's literally just going up or going down, making it either hot or making it either cold. It's on the same scale. This is the thing about polarity, is that everything is basically on this line. As we can see, like we have temperature, and then we have both sides, like kind of like a seesaw. It's still one structure, just it moves up and down, and they both exist. So everything is dual, everything has poles, everything has its pair of opposites. Opposites does not mean bad. Opposites just means they differ in degree. They differ in degree of frequency, they differ in degree of vibration, but it's all on the same scale. On the next principle, the principle of rhythm, we see that everything flows in a cyclical pattern with a rise and a fall like a pendulum swing. Everything flows out and in. Everything has its tides. All things rise and fall. So what we see here is the cyclical pattern. So we can see then pattern recognition. We can then see how times change and how times repeat themselves. And what is cool about this is that it helps us also dictate how our lives are going. If you are constantly in the same pattern, that means you are stuck in the same rhythm. You haven't transcended the rhythm. The rhythm is there to be transcended. The pendulum swing is not dictating your life, it's to be transcended and viewed from an external point. That is the point to understand these things, like polarity, like rhythm, is to understand and then transcend these things so that we can enjoy the game of life to the maximum, because these things happen, these things are true, rise and fall, okay, flowing in and out. Once we understand the rhythm, we can then see how to make our next move, how to take action, because your soul will naturally anyway do that. So it's kind of like detaching from that which is constantly swinging and just viewing it, just enjoying the experience, the whole experience. In the next principle, which is a very important principle, because this kind of shows you how reality creation comes about, or how things manifest, because things are always manifesting, right? Things are, you're either consciously doing or unconsciously manifesting particular things. And you naturally do that because it's our natural ability, because that's how we exist, right? So the principle of cause and effect, every cause has its effect and every effect has its cause, governing all events in the future. Every cause has its effect, every effect has its cause, everything happens according to law. We'll talk about that in the next videos. But what we got here is cause and effect. You want to change the effect, you don't do an effect, you do a cause. So every everything that you set into motion, everything that you see now in your life, that you have, that you've experienced, the positions that I'm in, that you are in, our environments, what we have and what we don't have, all comes from a cause, right? There's always a cause. Now, to know the cause is not actually that important, because you rather can spend more time focusing on setting the new cause and then having a different effect. But you must change the cause to change the effect. And what causes that thing is kind of your responsibility at the end of the day. This is where we can take responsibility and move on with our lives, and actually appreciate everything that we have now and everything that we've gained and learned, and use it as then to make a new cause, etc., etc. But we'll get into that in the next videos. Principle 7, we have the principle of gender, right? Everything has a masculine and feminine principles which manifest on all planes and are necessary for creation. Gender is in everything. Everything has its masculine and feminine principles. Gender manifests on all planes. Now, to be honest with you, this one I'm still learning. All these principles I'm still learning and I'm still experiencing in my life. As I've said, each principle will reveal itself once you remember who and what you truly are. Because right now we're just focusing on understanding the fundamental principles which exist and playing the game of life so that we can enjoy the entire experience, because that's what we are here to do. Now, with the principle of gender, of course, we are understanding that there's this kind of dynamic between things, okay? Everything, you got the electric, you got the magnetic, you have the pull and the push. You have these kinds of things that exist, okay? Your being as you are, of course, requires you to have parts of both. As a man, you naturally have more masculine traits, and as women you'd naturally have more feminine traits. So, but there's this balance between these things, because it's not about a man being a man and a woman being a woman and acting like a man and acting like a woman per se. It's just about balancing these two energies which exist in the universe. You know, when we talk about balancing as well, it's not just in yourself, but it's also in that which you do. So, for example, in order to create something, it requires that thing. It requires the action of the masculine and the creativity and flow of the feminine to then create something. So, for example, if you were building a business, if you were doing something, if you were creating a child, which is one of our main functions on this planet, but everything exists in this way so that it can come together and form, just like you have, seeds that blow from the flowers and the trees that then plant themselves and then grow, and then it requires these things. It requires the sun and the rain. It requires all of these types of stuff, but these masculine and feminine energies for something to actually thrive, for something to exist. This is why it's like it's best if a child has the mother and father, because naturally they're going to get both the masculine and feminine traits and love that they need from both sides, that are both equally important in that sense, of course. So this is how it manifests. Anyways, we'll get into each of these within the next video. This was just understanding the fundamental principles which exist and playing the game of life. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like it, leave a thumbs up and all that. I'm going to be, as I said, I'm going to be doing a video on each of these principles and covering them as best as I can. Let me give you a little preview. So with mentalism, we'll go over this. We'll go over a few of these pieces. But as we can see, I just want to pull up this image, because this is quite a good image that will help us understand the prime consciousness, okay, pure consciousness. And this image illustrates it best. You've seen the image with the light coming in and then the other lights coming out. Now I just want to share with you that your experience on this earth is kind of being filtered through a type of prism. Now, it's not to say that it is a prism. I don't know if it's per se a prism, but I know it's going through something to then manifest as these different things. But you are actually everything. So the beam that's coming in to the prism, that's actually you. Like that's actually your essence, your energy, uh, your light, your pure consciousness, your awareness that's coming in, and then it's transforming into these different this spectrum of light and this spectrum of vibrations and frequencies for you to then experience uh, everything and experience everything that is, because you are this primary awareness and this primary consciousness. As we know, when we get into meditation and all these stuff, we can access literally being being the pure awareness, being that spark of light. We can access these states, and then it's kind of like when we come back to reality or experiencing reality, it's like we then see everything expressing itself in these different ways. The people that you see, the things that you see, everything is kind of an expression of this pure consciousness. And basically everyone is that's the thing. Everyone is that, and everyone is actually one thing, but everyone is also individual. It's a very complex thing to understand, and it's not per se that one has to understand it, but of course, if you're interested, it does kind of give one words to word those experiences that you have during those sessions, where you might have an out of body experience, or you might have a near death experience, or you might have been in a deep meditative state where you experience being the actual pure consciousness and being the pure awareness, being the literally being the prime experience, the first experience of everything and nothing at the same time. Anyways, this is the video. Hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, please ask any questions you have. Please like this so I can get pushed in the algorithm. And yeah, that was understanding the fundamental principles which exist and playing the game of life. Peace out.